Um,
All right, it looks like we are live. All right.
Yay.
Hello and welcome to the Spoken Word with Raz. I'm Raz, your host, and today we have Ashley. Say hi.
Hello.
And we have Happy.
Hello.
Sadly, today Morgan is missing in action. We will miss her dearly for our fallen comrade. Who should be back here next week.
Comrade.
Huh?
She was great comrade.
Great comrade, yes.
Yes.
And today we have a special guest, our good friend Taranek.
Nobody see me. I am invisible.
Okay, I guess we have the invisible Taranek today.
I am figment of imagination. Yes.
All right. Well, since
Wouldn't be the first time Raz had one.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're all figments of my imagination, or it's the other way around. That I'm the Sheridan.
I have no idea. All I know is I'm actually right next to you, and
You're still not sure if I'm real or not.
no, that's not.
I sensed out.
I tend to not
Enough.
concerned.
I've been
what's that?
told not to listen to the voices in my head, but they have such interesting ideas.
So today it is going to be Ashley who has brought
Please don't
us.
grip me that way.
It is Ashley who actually has the topic today because it actually matters to her, and she's going to put down the phone and actually talk about it.
Yeah. Yes. So since he didn't think at all, stop pulling me towards the mic. Because he has no brain cells and didn't think of what to say this week. He asked me to think of something, and I thought of maybe artists, how they're being treated, and their art, and also big companies treating their comics, shows, etc., that type of stuff.
So can I try to get this
Touchy
clarified?
subject.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to make sure because that's a very broad and doesn't actually explain anything.
Yes, you asked me for a topic.
Okay, I'm
No,
just
it's-
clarifying with you.
It works.
Yeah.
I see where it's going. It is a
just-
broad
Thank
subject.
you.
But
Right. I'm just clarifying what your specific. So, are you talking about now when it comes to like big companies? You're talking like Disney and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but are you also
Disney,
talking?
DC, Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said comics and shows.
But the comics, like how comic books are going and
Right.
how. So, are we getting into the actual cancel culture part of it?
Yes.
Like if you
Yeah.
draw a character and
That's why I mentioned artists specifically and how they're being treated. Is there's stuff going on right now where if someone does their art style and it rubs someone just slightly wrong, that person will get a whole bunch of people to gang up and go, you drew the character wrong. Sure, sometimes, yes, it will be drawing the character wrong and the person is like, oh, but it's my art style. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
getting to a point that that's not even it anymore. It's just people are like, oh, you didn't draw her black enough.
Oh god.
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah,
they've been
the
attacking
wrong shade of brown.
They've been specifically attacking a lot of Asian artists.
Yes. Yeah.
Who a lot of them do in lighter shades anyway, so it's a lot of their work.
Yeah, because a lot of the time it really is their art style or like the type of utensils they use, like watercolor or something like that, where you can't get it exactly how everyone wants you to get it. Or it just looks better the way you do it, where everything is a bit lighter. But that also comes with the caveat that people are like, oh, you didn't draw her black enough.
I want to point out that that the same people usually make the character way blacker, or they change the character.
They make a white character a black character for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to curse yet, was I?
No, we're good.
It's
We're
fine.
No, we're good?
Yeah, we got
Okay.
past the 5 minute. We got past the 5 minute part. I think 5 minutes because it's just. I think it's only 2 or 3, but it's just 5 minutes is a good mark.
Okay, I completely forgot until I said, and I was like, "Fuck,
I left you guys a window of making a mistake.
yeah,
Hey, you did
Thank
it
you.
again.
it's needed.
Yeah.
It's needed."
Uh,
But yeah, that's kind of the stuff I wanted to talk about because I myself am an artist, and it does involve me. So
Yep.
I mean,
Same here.
these are the same people who take straight or non and headcanon.
oh
gay,
god, don't get me started.
you know, like they change a character's complete thing. So if you go, but not only that, you can't even do the wrong shipping. If there's a ship that the how do I put this that is the agreed upon within the community, your ship.
Well, there is none of that.
no,
Everybody
it's
wants to ship their everybody wants to ship their own thing, and there are some that are allowed and others that are like, no, it can't happen that way.
no.
I have
Matt-
an example. I have an example of this. So I've never really watched the show myself, but I've watched a good amount and seen a lot to really have my own opinion on it, in my opinion. So Boku no Hero Academia.
Uh-huh.
Oh god.
So people are like, oh yeah, Floaty Chick and Deku, they're cute. And then everyone's like, nah, Baku and Deku. That's the shit.
Yeah.
And there's I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of
two-
the main one with Todoroki, but there's that one too.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically
Uh,
like two guy characters can't have a good friendship without it suddenly being they're gay.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I want to get at least a little bit into the Fujiyoshi culture, which is part of anime. That's a whole separate problem we're running into. That's older than what we're dealing with now.
That's not even
Yeah.
the Fujoshi things.
No, it's
That's
but
no,
it's
wait,
strictly not
wait.
a Fujoshi thing.
oh no. This goes all the way back to fucking Full Metal Alchemist and stuff in the 2000s and stuff like that. No, it's absolutely
No, it's even
Fujiyoshi.
before that.
Winry,
And it's
is-
Fujoshi.
it's with Winry. Just saying.
Right, but I'm saying. Hey, what you saying, Taranak? Sorry, we're clarifying a few things.
I kind of noticed that. I my daughter happens to be into anime far more than I am, so I can't really speak to My Hero Academia specifically. At least not much. But she has been into various forms of anime, and one of them was Yoi. And I'm like, hey, they want to have that, that's fine. Doesn't interest me. It's not that I have a problem with it or anything else. It just doesn't interest me. And
Yeah.
I can look back on my years, and there have been various characters throughout time. Blade was one of my favorites. Just awesome, badass, cool character that was just, man, I wish I could, be like Blade. I could do this or I could do that. And when Wesley Snipes came out and did that whole, here you go. This is a true, yes, it's a little bit more vampiric and, on that kind of side, but still, he was a superhero. He was, he displayed the heroic qualities of fighting against the issue of him being a vampire, or at least having to deal with that issue. And that's what, to me, made him an absolutely great character, because he had this constant issue that he was trying to overcome, and he did it in some of the most awesome ways that I've seen. I loved the Blade series.
Yeah.
Both the movies and the comics and stuff. I love Spawn. Spawn was another great series. And I like, X-Men and, a couple of others, but I was never, oh my God, Superman, oh my God, Batman, or whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I was Spider-Man.
They were okay. Yeah, I like Spider-Man too, a little bit, but I was never a hardcore comics fan in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah.
But I did have comics that I liked. And it's like, okay, which ones did I like? Well, of course, I said X-Men. Storm was just absolutely wicked cool.
Yeah.
The white hair
Absolutely.
flowing out, floating up, lightning
She was
shooting out all
always
over
one of
the
my
place.
favorites.
She was just like, oh, goddess of, the storms. It's like, damn, that was cool.
Right.
And of course, Wolverine, that's one of those, just Wolverine.
I also liked Rogue. I'm not gonna
Rogue
lie.
was, yep, Rogue was awesome too. But,
Yeah.
I'm talking 20, 30 years ago, and my diversity was already there. And I
Oh,
was identifying with characters that didn't look like me. In fact, some of these characters had nothing whatsoever as far as being in any of my types of group. They weren't nerds. They weren't, I'm going to call them stoners, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it.
Yep.
but they weren't any part of my in group, and they certainly didn't have the same skin tones. They didn't have the same genders, and they didn't have any of the other labels that are being bandied about. This was, and again, I go back 30 years, 80s, 90s, well, long before 95% of these bozos today that are screaming about this were even born. And
Yeah.
we had diversity. I just saw a thing about James Bond, the new one.
Yeah.
And this woman comes on there and she's just like, oh my God, it's the first black blonde, first black spy. And I'm like, have you never seen any of James Bond?
Yeah.
There were several where there were other black spies that were just as badass and everything as James Bond, but
Yep.
they weren't James Bond. They were
Right.
not 007. They were other numbers.
Yep.
But can they accept that? Can they give, this new one? I would have absolutely no problem with her coming in and, leading out, becoming the primary character for this thing, but give her like 0022 or 0013 or I don't care what number it is.
Right.
Make her own character.
Be
James?
original.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They can't, and this goes all the way through comics and art and everything else. They cannot accept anything that is lighter skin tone. As many go, this white male, oh my God, the patriarchy. Bullshit.
There's actually
Clear,
yeah.
and that drives me absolutely nuts. And then the stories. All right. I know tons of people. I mean, just people from all walks of life, all over the place. And I have LGBTQIA friends. Yay. The thing is, these people do not walk around with every single thing being about what is my skin color, what are my dangly bits, and who do I like to smash my dangly bits with.
Yeah. They don't
Yep,
build their whole
and
culture around it. They don't build their whole culture around it. They don't.
And they make
that
it their
is,
personalities even.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that is like 5 to 10% of a person out of your average day. Okay, how many times are you boinking around with somebody else or thinking about boinking around with somebody else and worrying about what, how much melanin is in in your skin?
Yep.
You don't even think about it. You're busy eating, you're reading books, you're doing things, you're living life.
Well, I think the biggest
And
question
these
I
things,
always the biggest question I think I walk into is like one of my favorite questions is when it comes to this. It's like, hey, what is your name? Like just a
yes,
simple thing, right? What is your name? What is it you do? Where do you work? What's your hobbies? What are the things that make you who you are? Because again, when it comes to this stuff, when they're doing this, it makes me think, and I could be wrong on this, but a lot of times it makes me think that they're trying to convince themselves that they are these things as much as they're trying to convince you.
Well,
You know?
there's been a saying that goes back a long time. If everybody is special, then nobody is. And these people are hooking into this thing, trying to be special, trying to be superior in some way, any way
Yep.
that they can, to try and essentially lord it over somebody else.
Yeah.
The whole thing about power and oppression and all that stuff. I got news for you. That's called life. That's living on the planet Earth. Okay. Every single creature oppresses another creature, and every other creature is oppressed by someone. And you know who the top oppressors are? Humans. They oppress everything.
Yep.
And and these people, in their mad rush to scream and shout about my diversity and all this crap, they are more oppressive than anything that they've come up with.
And
They've
less
talked about
diverse.
hatred.
Less diverse. Like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
like I want to get into my
If
favorite.
you don't, yeah, if you don't fit the stereotype, you're done.
Yeah.
If you are a darker skinned person, you have to do this, or this, or else you're bigot or you're internalized, internalized
I-
misogyny, internalized
Any
racism.
isms, just any of them.
If any of them.
Yeah.
You know, this gets into like, but it's more than that. It's like when you get into like, so my favorite X-Men character. You were talking about that. Like, my favorite X-Men character is actually Wagner, Nightcrawler. You know, and
Oh
this
yeah,
is a
he's
character.
cool.
Yeah,
Isn't
he's
that
awesome.
But what made me fascinated about with him, and again, X-Men and stuff is not really a religious. Like, you have some religious zealots, but you have a character who is strong in his faith. He looks like a demon, raised in this Catholic church. He's one of the nicest people you can meet. Right?
Yeah.
That's how they designed him. And they have done everything in their power to remove all that, to remove that backstory, to make him not that character. And that's but that's what makes him compelling. That difficulty of the religion, his religion versus, again, the religious zealots or other things and other people, while he's trying to be the best he is. It's the same dichotomy with Daredevil that they've been trying to get rid of. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not, but these characters are built with these ideals and these strong. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking the whole reason why they're trying to do that is because it is them. They are so worried about their appearance. Like I said.
Yeah.
Kurt was, oh my gosh, I look like a devil. It doesn't matter what I do, I look like a devil, and therefore I was vilified. And so these people do exactly that. You don't look like what I expect, therefore you are vilified.
Oh yeah, and to make it even worse though, what made him so much better though is regardless of how vilified he was going to stick to his. Not only is he sticking to his ideals, he treats people with respect, no matter how much they fear him.
Yes.
He had a power of will, and it sucks. And again, he falters in that thing where he does feel sad, where he does do these things, but he himself believes in these things and that he should do these things. Not because, and hopefully one day people will accept him, the X-Men do, but it's not even that. It's just, why should he change, to hate or become part of, again, he fights against Magneto. And the bigotry of his world on both sides. Actually, that's one of the coolest things about X-Men. Why it was such a popular story. You do have the mutant supremacists.
Yeah. And it's the whole thing, the whole dichotomy is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Something that, way back in the olden days, back almost before Star Trek: The Next Generation, even, there used to be a thing called IDIC, which stood for, and I kid you not, infinite diversity and infinite combination. It
Okay.
was a it was somewhat of a Vulcan thing, and Vulcans were interesting because they they are such a passionate, emotionally driven people that they went overboard in embracing logic to try and control that. And they
Yeah.
eventually realized that they need both. You know,
Yeah.
it comes into that whole without heat, there's without cold, what's heat? Without light, what's dark? Without there is nothing that is absolute one or absolute another. It's a range. It's an
It
entire gamut
yeah.
of
It
things in between.
Yes, the James Kirk thing when they talk about we can remove your pain and all that stuff like that. This goes back to like the original Star Trek. He tells them
Yeah,
that is what makes me human. I need these things. I can't. I like it's what makes me, and it's me
right.
overcoming it. It's about overcoming those because they use diversity in that way, but diversity also is the negative stuff that happens to you. The the pain, the conflicts, the fighting, and how you overcome those, because those are what make you your person. Not this, not how you look.
Grabbing onto me to signify things when no one can see you doesn't help your point.
That's fair, but I talk with my hands, so even
I
if
know.
don't see me.
I know you
I do it even when I'm by myself.
I know. You've almost smacked me a few times.
Anyways, point is, and yeah, like again, that plays a big part. And again, it's they don't want to accept that they have flaws or that they're wrong in some way or that their feelings are wrong. Like this is the biggest thing that I've been hitting the most is this whole thing of not being telling people that, like what I tell people is it's okay to have feelings, but that doesn't mean you can't be wrong, that your feelings can't be wrong. My feelings are wrong all the time. It's recognize that's why you need both the emotional and the logical. Because
And
sometimes you can be too logical and you
and
remove
fur
that humanity. Huh?
oh yeah. And furthermore, just because I am feeling a certain way, it's look, these are electrochemical processes that are happening in the body. Okay. The mind is this blob that sits inside of a bone shell that has absolutely no contact with the outside other than what nerves are fed into it. So, I mean, kind of sort of like the Matrix, if you were to hijack those inputs, who knows what that could be? It could be anything out there.
Yep.
But when it comes down to humanity and everything, um, conflict is something that is ageless. This movement lately is only 10, 15 years old
Yep.
for the strong part. Now, this does go back even 20, 25 years. Okay. And if you really want to trace the roots back to what it really is, communism,
You're right.
where people, these people are trying to sell you a bill of goods so that they can take control. You know, there are so many places where it's like, well, they just didn't try my version of communism. Yes, they did. There are there are dozens, if not hundreds of countries that have tried many variations of communism. And the problem is communism cannot work. Well,
Uh,
why can't it work? Well, it's because of the one wild card in there called human. Humans, humans cannot do communism as much as you'd like to do it. All the people that preach about, oh, free this and free that, and oh, it could be great, and everybody's equal, and everybody's like that. Okay, they used to call those utopias. But the
Yep.
thing is if everybody is exactly, I mean, think of it as clones. If everybody is exactly like everybody else, everybody loves the exact same thing that everybody else loves, then what is there to even talk about?
No, it's
You
like,
Yeah.
know,
funnily
I
enough,
love the X-Men. Oh, I love the X-Men too. Well, what do you think about this? I asked. That's the same thing. And we already have incredibly short attention spans anymore. What do you think you're going to even talk about? There is no talking about. The only thing is where's the next dopamine rush? I need my dopamine hit. Somebody say like me, like you, yay! And it's like in communism, there's going to people are not that um self-effacing. Okay, they are not that altruistic and self-effacing where they can sit there and put in hours and hours and hours of actual labor. Oh my God, what a word, labor. Well, everything that everybody owns came from labor.
Right.
Everything does. So there's somebody laboring somewhere. And most of the time, those people that are laboring are either yellow or brown skinned. So all of these white idiots that are all guilty and oh my diversity. Yeah, they're everything that they have, everything that they use is built upon the backs of the very people that they claim to be saving, that they claim to be helping.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's
it's
pretty
not
true.
just and it's
That's
not,
pretty.
I don't want to sit there and say that everything is built on the backs of the yellow and the other colors other than what it's called white. And that
Blue?
even there, I am
Don't
not.
forget blue people.
Yeah, well, my favorite thing is I
Oh,
am not white.
purple.
If I take and drain all the blood out of me, I'm yellow. Skin itself is yellow.
Yeah.
Blood is what gives it that tone. And I'm not white. White is the color of paper. It is a reflection of all colors. Okay. And I am not white. I'm kind of
Yeah.
I have a tan. If I stay outside in summer, in deep summer, I can get dark enough that I can pass off for other nationalities,
Right.
including a Mexican or something,
Well,
because I can
I'm gonna
get
interrupt you
that
real quick,
dark.
Tanner. I'm gonna interrupt you, Pterodactyl. Happy was trying to talk earlier, and
You kind of kept the train going.
yeah, you're not letting anyone
Oh yeah,
talk right now.
yeah,
oh yeah, go
it's
ahead.
fine. It's just
Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
going to
What were
say
you saying?
that the closest you can get to a working communism, a working communist system,
Is very
is
small scale. Is very
is
small scale.
extremely small scale. It's like village-sized scale.
Even
And I
smaller than that.
mean medieval. I mean medieval
Yeah.
village-sized scale, not
Right.
modern day
Hold on.
village-sized scale.
Hold on. We actually have communes that work. Like there's
Yeah.
these small communes. We're not talking about that
That's
desert
where the
place.
word come from.
Yeah. You do have these small communes, even in America, where they are but again, the rule is you come, you work, and you eat. Like they're even more strict than a capitalist society.
Yeah. It works because it's not the communism that's being pushed.
Yeah.
By the communists, it's the sharing of labor.
Yeah.
Without all the added bullshit.
And you
Yeah.
do, and again, because everyone works and everyone shares and stuff like that, everyone does have a voice in it, but that's because you have 15 people, running a small farm, who do trading and stuff like that, so everyone gets a say. But not only that, what's really funny about these communes, though, is that they haven't lost. It's always funny seeing communists. In real communes, they haven't lost that sense of identity that you would see in the communist society, right? Like, they'll have little things to set them apart. Huh?
Yeah. One of the major problems with communism is that it tries to reduce everyone to the same thing.
Yeah.
A mindless blob that's just... Ironically, communism makes people a lot more cogs in the machine than capitalism.
Yeah.
Cogs in the machine. Isn't that kind of like slavery?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only way
is slavery.
the only way communism works is just like it happened in Star Trek. You have to have something that makes shit out of nowhere.
Hold on, I want to point out that even in Roddenberry, like Roddenberry himself didn't believe in didn't believe his world.
Yeah,
was
no, but I
communistic.
mean, the only way communism
Yeah.
works is if you remove the value of labor from the equation.
Yeah, and
If the replicators can make anything, then there's absolutely no value in labor, and there's no problem in actually making things. So everyone can have whatever the fuck they want.
so yeah, so they but to give purpose to people and stuff, they devise, they devise Starfleet,
Yeah.
where you do need skills and stuff like that you can't just have a computer do. Or they
Yeah.
gave again, one of the things in Star Trek that they discovered is that people still need purpose.
Well, and that's something that's kind of interesting because it does bring us right back around to the original topic. Arts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arts and sciences. Sciences are just dedicated pursuit of various arts. And vice versa. Science, cooking, for instance, is a science. Add this much of this ingredient, that much of that ingredient, but it's also an art. And what tastes good together. And what tastes good to me may not taste good to you.
Yep.
And so,
Yeah.
the whole artistic bent of it, there were several episodes within the Star Trek universe prior to the latest iterations
Yeah.
where they discussed and explored those very things. And people, as you said, need purpose. And so they go and they try to discover things, discover new things, make new things, find out more about everything around them. And that becomes the value. People value, you know, they actually brought in the Ferengi for gold press latinum just to
Yeah.
get back some form of a monetary system. But it's Starfleet, okay, that was a quasi-military organization. And in the
Yeah.
military, everything is pretty much supplied for you. You don't have to get all these different things. And replicators are not everywhere. But they still, replicators need power. So you have to have these super power sources. If you don't have those super power sources, then you end up with, like the miners on this planet that are, mining dilithium crystals because they can sell them or exchange them for the things that they want.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was iMud where he brought, these miners wanted companions. So Mud brought companions and traded for the dilithium crystals. And Mud was going to trade those for something else that he wanted. And so, trade is still there. Trade is a baseline human thing because we have a tendency to specialize at least a little bit. You have
Yeah.
the rounded out thing that everybody can do, and then you have specializations, which links back to what Happy said with communism. With communism, each person is doing kind of a specialized job. There'll be things that
Yeah.
they all do together, but they each are also doing specialized jobs too.
Yep.
This person may be better at just the straight out labor, hoeing and putting things in the ground and hauling things around. Another one might have skills in counting and talking to people so that they can trade the stuff that they produce for things that they don't have. Or, even further, one person might be really good at working with metals, another with wood, another with other materials. And so each one, they'll sit there and they'll do primarily that thing. And I need a spoon. Well, they'll go to the metal guy and they'll say, hey, I need another spoon. And they'll work the metal until they have a spoon.
Yep.
Or whatever it may happen to be. There's a trade-off.
Yeah, we just fixed that trade-off by making monetary. Like, this is the
Yeah.
thing people don't understand about society. And again, right now we're having all these shortages and stuff and worker shortages, and people are wondering why it's taking so long or getting angry. Having this extra income, because that's the only problem with money is when you overproduce it, like we're doing right now, is you're running into a situation where people don't realize that we already live in a society where people have to work to make materials, and you are getting the benefit of that. That's the point of the monetary money you're given.
Right.
You know,
It's an easily tradable medium. I mean, there have been barter all over the place.
Yeah.
Hey, you happen to want something that I can make. Well, I really like that gumbo that you make. Can you make me up a couple of pots of that gumbo so I can freeze it? So you make a bunch of the gumbo, and then you trade it to me, and I give you a couple of, say, metal and wooden items that you aren't able to do.
Yep.
Well, that's fine if we have something that we need. But say you make gumbo, but I don't like gumbo. I like fish. Well, you trade your gumbo to this other person for bread, and then that person, from the bread, you trade it with somebody else for wooden spatulas, who then, you then trade it with somebody else to get that fish. So instead of having to go to 3, 4, 5 different people to try and, trade for something that they need and want, you just say, okay, we're going to use this as a common source. So you give me money and I can trade it any direction.
Yep.
And that's why any kind of a monetary system came up. And it goes all the way back to shells, pretty rocks, and various other things in cultures going back to thousands of years, tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, they're actually
And
talking about one of the first ones, at least back in the day, was salt, because salt was
yeah,
an easy commodity to come by. And
Sort of.
well,
uh,
somewhat.
The problem
The
with
thing
salt is that the way to get salt, if you're not near the sea, is only by using rock salt, and rock salt without being processed is poisonous.
yeah,
So there is a somewhat of a large amount of labor to get rock salt. You'd have to mine it, you'd have to process it, and then it could be used, which automatically gave it a rather high value.
right.
Well,
Well, and we have it everywhere now, but it was great for preserve. The thing with salt is that reason it was such a high commodity is you could use it as preserve. It had multifunction with its needing salt water to process. And
well,
yeah,
you have flavor. Okay, you have the preservative thing, the desiccant portion. And even today, people talk about, oh, well, I got a really good salary. Do you realize where the word salary came from? It came directly from portion of salt. That's what it means. The
Yep.
word in Latin, salary is a portion of salt. So it's
yeah,
like the very word salary that they toss around is based on salt, which is essentially the same as saying dollar bills, coins,
right.
shells, whatever it may happen to be. It was a unit of trade. And, all of these different things come together. And people, to again link back into the artist section again.
Yeah, I was actually going to take that
Ashley,
back and bring that back.
Ashley's kind of, I can hear her in the background going, "You guys are going off topic."
I'm watching her
Is
face. I
is
was actually going to take it back to it and see where for.
But there's another thing that people don't understand about artists, and in this case, I'm not going to talk about comics. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of stuff with comics, but I'm just talking about artists in general. And again, this is because my daughter is an artist. She partially funds herself. She's had some issues and stuff where she had a stroke and is not able to work as easily, but she can draw and she can draw well. So she does commissions to get a little bit of extra money to try and, keep herself fed, a roof over her head, all that kind of stuff. And people don't get the time. You know, you go to McDonald's, for instance, since everybody likes to use that as a measure of something. Oh,
Doesn't
well,
help. I actually work at McDonald's.
well,
Yeah, you were good.
yeah, well, okay, yeah, that I wasn't thinking that. I was talking as unit of measure. Oh, I work at McDonald's. I want $15 an hour for my time. But those same people, you'll sit there and spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours making a beautiful drawing. And you sit there and you say, okay, $15 an hour. I spent 3 hours. That's $45. Oh my God, that's too expensive. It should only cost, I'll give you $5. What?
Ugh.
I
And
spent
don't get me
3 hours
started.
on this. Oh,
Don't get me
that's
started on the people who will keep updating you. Like, okay, something that you do as an artist when you're doing commissions is you need to contact with the person you're having the commission for. So any questions or anything like that. But I hate it when they come back like an hour later and say, "Is it done yet?" Bruh, it doesn't take an hour to do a whole fucking drawing.
well,
If
it's
people,
like
if
this.
people really want context for how long it takes for someone to draw something, there's an easy way to see that, which is a lot of drawing streams people make.
Yep.
Really
Yeah.
talented people take a long ass time to make a drawing.
It takes me, I want to say, 6 hours to do a whole drawing. Shading, coloring, lining, background, about that much.
Yeah.
And just like, there was one person who told me recently, he was like, "Hey, can you make guns?" I'm like, "No, I've tried before and they suck, but I could try." He was like, "Okay, well, can you make a sword?" "Yeah, I can make a sword." "Okay." 11 minutes or so later, he was like, "Are you done yet?" I just
Did they-
started.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, for 10 minutes, can you make a sword? Yeah, I can
You
sit
won't-
there and draw 2 lines. I can draw a diagonal line and another one. Okay, there's a primitive looking sword.
I
Something
can
that a
actually
2-year-old can put out or something like that. Because, oh, you want details? Oh, well, that takes extra time.
And when I
And
asked him, like, what exactly he wanted me to even draw, he was like, "Oh, okay." And then sent me this picture of, like, 3 different swords that looked like they're elemental type stuff with effects going on around them and stuff like that. So when I made the sword, I had a little effect on it. He was like, "No, no, 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 just the sword." And I'm like, "Okay."
Be clear with what you want.
He was not clear at
Yeah.
all. He just
Yeah.
wanted me to make a sword.
I think Raz will understand when I say this, but doing help desk is pretty similar to that.
Oh God. Oh God, don't even get me started. We all, 3 of us here have worked
Yep.
tech support.
I am doing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 of us here have done this. Now, Happy, you get to join me in what I was complaining about.
Oh, I'm
Welcome.
perfectly aware of what you were complaining about,
Oh,
and I'm even deeply involved in it. I'm just the intern
Which
guy.
which one is the any key? I don't see one that says any on it.
Now, imagine the following, and I had this happen like last month. Guy comes in with his server, quote unquote, and he's saying he's been unable to get into it. The machine doesn't turn on, yada yada. So,
Okay.
what do? Screwdriver. Take screws off. Take side panel off. Look inside. This RAM here looks like it's got one of its sides suspiciously high. Push it in. Click. Press the button. Computer turns on.
And then because it only took 5 minutes, it's like, well, yeah, all you had to do is push that in. That shouldn't cost me anything.
No, I didn't even tell him what was wrong. I just
Oh, okay.
told him. I just told him, okay, your shit is ready. And he came by later, and it's like, oh no, it was fine. I just had to reseat the RAM.
Yeah.
Because
I-
otherwise I'd start talking too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big
I've
thing.
hit that.
I don't
I-
have nearly enough power to actually speak my mind. Because if I did, if I was in the same position as my boss, I'd be in that position a very short amount of time because I have no patience for certain types of bullshit.
Yes.
You can always tell
We
the
have-
difference. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have the email accounts at our university, and the server, which has those email accounts, is pretty full. It's like I think it's under 5% in free space. There's people there, teachers, university professors with ungodly huge amounts of emails in their folders.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to touch that shit because they're tenured and so on. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, the boss here isn't me because I don't give a fuck. I would walk up to them and tell them, take this shit, put it on Google, Gmail, whatever, or we're deleting this shit. We need space. We have students.
Right.
Like,
And there should be a thing.
I
with
hate
that.
pussyfooting around this bullshit.
Oh,
it-
we see it constantly with supposedly highly intelligent people that when in certain areas they couldn't pour piss out of a boot if you had the instructions written on the heel.
I have
They are
stories.
that crazy. And I've done this thing back in the day. I did some maintenance type work, and they flew me out. This was like 24-hour turnaround type thing. They flew me out to take care of this piece of machinery that was malfunctioning. So I get out there, talk to the people, blah, 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 blah. What's it doing? What's it not doing? Well, it's this, that, and the other thing. I go in there and found out that very similar to what you had, there was a part in the PLC that wasn't fully seated.
Oh god.
So
It
they
was on a piece of
flew you all the way
Oh,
out
yeah.
there just to jiggle a piece and say they're fixed.
I want to point out that is
see,
way
this
more
is a
common
funny
than
thing
think.
because we went through a whole diagnostic. Did you check this? Yes, of course I checked this. Did you check this other thing? Yes, of course I did this. I'm not stupid. Blah 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 blah. So I get out there and I finally get in there and I look at it and it's like I'm looking at this rack. It has lights on it, but this one card doesn't have any lights on it. It should. Press. Oh, look, the lights came on. And they're like,
Like-
wait, that's all it was reseating this card? Yeah. And
It's
this
like-
cost us several $1,000s?
Yep.
Did pushing this card in cost you several $1,000s? No. Pushing the card in was $10. The other several $1,000s was getting me out here and knowing what to do and taking the place of the maintenance person that should have been able to do that rather than getting all upset because I question his integrity.
Yeah, it's like
It's
when
rather
people
obvious
say,
that this person didn't do anything because all you had to do is look in there and say, this thing doesn't have any lights on it. Maybe it needs replaced or at least reseated.
yeah, it's like when people say, I'm not dumb, you're like 75% of the way to concluding they
You're an
fucked up.
idiot.
Yeah, okay, so I gotta.
I
make
don't
fun
know
of
what
myself a
you
little bit.
did, but something you did wasn't supposed to be done. Or
Okay,
something
so
you didn't do
uh,
was supposed to be done.
so I have to make fun of myself a little bit on this one because Ashley has seen me work on machine. She knows for a
Oh,
fact.
God.
Oh, I get so angry. I love working on computers and stuff, but I get so angry. But I will admit, the first thing I say to somebody is like, "Listen, I'm stupid. This is probably a user error, but let's make sure." And there's been a lot of times I have fixed something while on the call with somebody because I noticed something that I did. Like again, it's not that I think people are stupid. It's just people get on their high horse. You know?
Yep.
When it comes to stuff. So the first thing I tell people is, listen, I'm dumb. So there's no telling what actually is like I have gone over this thing, gone over this thing, gone over this thing. And usually when I do call somebody, or if I have to message a friend or anything like that, I have literally been at it for hours trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah. And
And okay.
that is so frustrating when that type of thing happens, because you get that facepalm moment where you're just like, oh God, I can't believe that I missed that, because it was just so stupid. And and I get it. You get upset and you stop seeing the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And so you get caught up in that. And I mean, and that is in every endeavor. Doing artwork again. You'll do this thing, it won't be right, won't be right, won't be right. You're getting really frustrated because it won't come out. And so you walk away. And then you come back, an hour or two later after you've gone and, blown up bad guys in some kind of a video game or something like that. And you
Let
come
it
back and you're
out.
like, oh, let me do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, bingo, hey, everything's fixed.
Funny enough, okay, so getting into Ashley's artwork, this is actually something I got onto her earlier this year, because I come to find out what she was doing is she started working on something, she'd get frustrated and angry at it, and then she would completely abandon it. She wouldn't go back and finish it, or go back and look at it again. She would just abandon it. I'm like, that doesn't help you get better at this. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my lack of motivation made me just go, no, it's not looking right. I'm just gonna not do it. And I would just take a break, start up another drawing, repeat,
Yeah, it's almost like I said, do anything else than what you're doing now.
You need spider monkeys.
Spider monkeys?
That's oddly
What?
specific.
Well, what you do is you take a little bungee cord, you wrap it around the spider monkey's waist, and then you give him a cattle prod, and he comes swinging down from the rafter and goes like that and motivates you.
I think you have Raz for that.
I can get you a shot collar.
I'm sorry?
What?
That's right.
Oh.
Quit that!
What?
It's gonna be we'll see the sparks from off on the horizon. Boy, that's one heck of a thunderstorm over there. Yeah, it's been going on for hours. I can kind of hear some screaming too, can't you? Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
gee,
god.
My shock collar is I just refuse cuddles.
Fuck you.
It seems to work. It seems to be a
well,
good motivation.
that's not going to happen.
I will slap you.
Yes,
Yes.
that's
You
normal.
threaten us with a good time, right?
I know, right?
Anyway,
But
that just went off the edge of the cliff there.
oh, that's pretty normal. This welcome to the podcast. We do stuff like this. We have a good time. We have fun. So ultimately, like, what has been the biggest problem you've been having, Ashley, with like the art and the people, how they act about I'm not just talking about the people who want your art and stuff, but how these pretty terrible artists go after these people too. Like, usually they go after really good art.
The biggest thing I've seen so far is there's this other artist that I'm friends with, and she's finding her art getting posted in different areas. And also, she doesn't have a Twitter account. And so I made a Twitter named after her, using her art and selling it.
Wow, they're stealing her art.
Yeah.
That's pretty common.
Yeah, it is pretty common, and it's shitty.
It is.
And another thing that she found was, for some reason, some people took her art, put it on R34, and edited it to be an actual not safe for work image.
Or
Yeah.
I fixed your art.
Yeah.
It wasn't right, so I fixed it.
Yeah.
No.
She does monster girls and guys and stuff. So that's where the appeal comes from for her art, I want to say. Because admittedly, she's not that great of an artist, but she is still young. She's my age. No, she's a year younger than me.
So he's 18.
Yeah, she's 18. But like, I still don't. And it's got me kind of paranoid, I want to say, because I haven't seen anything done with my art yet.
You can report
But
it, by the way.
yeah, we all reported that guy or
Yeah.
whoever it was.
Yeah, you can report these people, and even for R34, you can request your art being taken down since it's being stolen.
Right, and she started doing that, but like, it's got me thinking: what if people are doing that with my art and I never know? And that's going to be an
That's
issue for a
risky.
lot. Yeah,
That's going to be the risk. Just whatever you find it's your responsibility. Because here's the thing: the fact of the matter, the law is even if they are breaking the law, until it's got caught, until you're aware of it, there's nothing you can do.
yeah, that's the shitty part, and all
Yeah.
artists are going to be going through this.
Oh,
And
they do. They do it all the time.
hell, it could be a whole fucking year before they even realize someone's stealing their art.
Yeah.
And they'll never know.
Yeah.
Hell, the person the artist I was just talking about, someone else was the one that found this account, not her.
This is why it's actually important, why I've always gotten into it, to sign your art and do it in a place that you can't just watermark out.
Yeah, I always put
always need to
mine in a
watermark it.
place where I shade and there's multiple colors and stuff like that under it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, and my watermark is multiple colors too.
Okay.
So
But the point is that's also how you protect it.
yeah,
Because a lot of people don't understand that there are laws and stuff like that that protect people, like
Yeah.
from doing stuff, and by creating these things, even using websites where you have timestamps and stuff like that help a lot.
right. The other hard thing is the situation I just talked about is she doesn't have a Twitter and they made a Twitter named after her. So
Yeah.
they didn't have to do anything about the watermarks at all.
Yeah, I know. And
And that's so shitty.
yeah, people are shit.
The biggest issues
Yeah.
I've seen is that, and then for me personally, it's the fact that I don't get commissions and that no one really finds me. What I'm thinking about doing is, this is kind of fucked up too, but doing fan art of more popular things that I'm actually interested in to gather people towards me and find my stuff I do.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, okay. Here's one. DeviantArt.
Oh god.
Well, hear me out. There are. I mean, anything that you're going to get into is going to eventually get, the crap ass people. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Twitter got taken over by by the Tumblr people. When they got kicked off, they all mass migrated over to Twitter,
Yeah.
and Twitter wouldn't kick them off, and so they've taken over. And Twitter is just a cesspool.
I
Um,
upload things not on Twitter, but on Instagram. It's not
Yeah.
as bad, but
Still pretty bad.
yeah.
It's still, yeah, because I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people out there that their entirety, basically everything about them, their entire life revolves around, well, I can't do anything, so I'm going to take other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And if I
Yeah.
can sell it, oh, hey, it's almost like an identity theft. If I can take something that somebody else did, not change it at all, and just sell it and make money from it, oh, they'll do it.
Yeah.
A classic example of that is well, a classic example of not having any useful skills and trying to monetize anything is, you look at OnlyFans.
Yeah.
OnlyFans started off as, this is a celebrity website. This is a place where celebrities will go and will talk to the fans and blah, 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 blah. And that's what it was supposed to be, OnlyFans. You would actually pay to have some kind of a contact with the celebrity. And that's what it was originally focused around, was this place for that.
Now it's porn.
But what
And now they're
happened
trying
was
to
is
remove the porn.
well, and here's the thing: OnlyFans was growing very, very slowly until the mass migration from Twitch, where Twitch wouldn't allow certain things, but OnlyFans had no limits. OnlyFans was fairly small until this mass migration came in there, and these people started making just incredible amounts of money. Drop me $5 and I'll smile at you. Drop me $10 and I'll wink and make pouty lips at you. $25 and I'll stand up and twirl. And people would just sit there and like gamblers at a casino, just throwing money at them. And they started getting thousands of dollars. Well, OnlyFans was set up that, the people that were doing this, the supposed celebrities, they wanted, the celebrities made all the money. They ran the servers and everything like that. They took a little bit off the top for being able to, run everything. Well, because of the Rule 34 that all these people were doing, going from hot tub streams to more diverse
Porn.
activities.
Porn.
I'm trying to be nice. But anyway,
No, that's just say it as it is,
Eh, eh,
man.
If you're trying to be nice, you're on the wrong.
Yeah, we're on the wrong
Well,
podcast.
when I see somebody dressed in a horse head licking microphones and bobbing their butt up and down in the air, I don't even call that porn.
It's softcore. It's softcore. It's
Yeah.
softcore.
It's weirdness. Anyway,
It's
It is weird.
fetishization.
It is weird.
and I don't give a damn if somebody wants that. That's fine.
Oh no. That's
That-
one thing I've said. I don't care that they do this. If people want to waste their money and throw it, I mean, that's why Chatterbait and all them existed for so long.
Yeah, it's fine by me. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. It's their money and their time.
But don't interfere with me enjoying
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Exactly.
Which they're very heavy on doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I do is my personal blah 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 blah. But what you're doing, oh well, you can't do that. You need to be blah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
Go away, kid. You bother me. Anyway, but
Yeah.
OnlyFans exploded.
Yeah.
And became this huge company. They were worth billions, supposedly. But they were worth billions because all these people came over there and were doing their thing, and that's why they grew. Well,
Yep.
then they wanted, even though they were supposedly making all this money, when you come to, employee costs, server farm costs, all these other things, they really weren't making all that much. And
Yeah.
so they wanted to do, some more. And they wanted to get investors, and the investors were like, we're not investing in a porn site.
Yep.
And so that's why they tried to kill it. And of course, all the screaming memes, we built this place and you need to do this and you need to pay us back. No, we don't have to do diddly squat. They got this thing because it was the cheapest alternative. They could have done this on any number of other sites, but they wouldn't have gotten 80% of their profits. They would have gotten 70% or 60%.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they grew the site, but that had nothing to do with it. There are avenues that they could do it that are standard. They've just been getting away with murder, and they have absolutely no right to demand anything out of OnlyFans.
Right.
And
What is your
Like I say-
opinion on YouTube on this part then, with the YouTube issue, where it went where it did grow heavily with user content?
oh yeah,
I want to point
mean,
out they say they lose money all the time on YouTube, but they have never released their numbers. They refuse
Well-
to release their numbers.
the thing that's odd and the server space itself, when you
Yeah.
got hundreds of thousands of people that are sitting there loading up videos, and you know how big a video is.
Yeah.
Okay. um, your standard video of only 20 minutes is 40 45 meg generally,
Yeah,
45 to 100 meg. So you start adding that up over a couple 100,000 people, that takes up a lot of space, a lot of
it
hard
does.
drives.
It does.
I mean, there are a lot of people out there that if you were to take the entirety of their content that they produce and that they have been producing for just a couple of years, they would need several terabyte drives to
Yeah,
hold it all.
yeah,
And YouTube is basically free, and they pay people a portion of the ad revenue that they get.
yeah.
Now
Partial
they
other other and all that. Yeah,
now the rulings and some of the things that are on the ad revenue are kind of goofy, and then of course you also got your sharks that are out there, you know, copyright striking and doing all kinds of other stuff that are like, um, Jojo Schmucko, did a copyright strike. Who's this person? Well, they say that they have the rights to it. No, the rights belong to this other person there. Why are you letting them copyright strike and make money off of this? Those are the ones that are hidden. They try not to get them out there, but I've
yeah,
seen this type of stuff happen where
yeah.
some bozo says, "Well, that's mine," and YouTube just gives them the money. And it's
I have
like,
never understood that. They should be locking any money that goes to anywhere until it's resolved. That you should not be giving money willy nilly like that.
yeah,
And
and
YouTube has the right to do that, to lock that money. They have all the stuff to lock an account until it's resolved. And by
and
most,
that
oh, go ahead.
and all of that stuff is very much true as far as who owns this and all this other type of things. They've made it so easy that any schmuck, I mean, I could go in there and claim that I'm the copyright holder and copyright strike. In fact, a lot of people have been doing that, especially in the cancel crowd.
Yeah,
They'll go in there and they'll copyright strike something, and they don't own any. They don't even have a inkling of ownership.
yeah.
And do you know why people can do that?
Because the system is a little bit too loose, for one.
No, because, well, no, yes, but mostly because that little thing called perjury is absolutely never enforced when it comes to these things.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of
There hasn't been a
thing.
single case where it happened.
Well,
And the DMCA is old as fuck.
and it's funny as hell. When you're talking about perjury and lying and stuff like that. That's something that I saw rise like a hydra several years back. Is somebody can come out and claim, hashtag me, what?
Yeah.
Oh, 20 years ago, they touched me inappropriately. Well, one, now you can't prove anything.
Yeah.
So they can say whatever the hell they want. If there's the inkling of either fame or money, they'll make
Yep.
the most outrageous claims. You have to believe me. And
Well,
they'll get away with getting all this money and stuff. And the thing is they will be unequivocally be proven to be lying their butts off, and nothing happened.
yeah.
But to me, if these people sat there and it's like, okay, you filed this report, that's all fine and dandy. You're about to completely trash somebody else's life. However, if we find out that you are lying about this, you will face the exact same punishment. I bet you the numbers would drop precipitously. I think
Yep.
you would probably get maybe 1% of how many people are currently doing it.
Well, I will
Because
point
all of a
out.
sudden it's like, oh, well, if I lie and they catch me, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to lose all my stuff. I'm going to lose, my job and my, reputation and everything else. If they suddenly face that, they wouldn't be lying the same way.
Yeah, it goes back to I just want to point out in the U.S. the slander laws and what is it, slander and what that's spoken.
Libel.
What's libel? No, which, anyways, it has always been lesser here. You know,
Yeah.
this goes back to cases from 70 years ago. The problem is that those laws had not been updated. Because when they were first talking about this, if you go back to the original cases and read what was actually happening,
Yeah.
that was not only was a different time, because yellow journalism has always been around and usually ignored. Back in the day, anyways, you know, you always had things
Oh
like
yeah.
that. But
The Star, the Sun, yeah, all those things.
but the problem is that these companies now, like the Free Press and stuff, are actually slandering
Oh yeah.
and calling it fact. And how they get away with it is they call it opinion, right? But they're treating it as fact. And this is the part where I don't, where again, the only case that we know is actually getting anywhere is the Veritas case right now on this subject. But another reason why nothing's been changed is because every time these cases happen, the company is able to get the person to settle. And I'm sorry, we do need somebody to be a martyr to fight that long, but you know, to cause that damage, because nobody
Well-
will actually live on principle.
Well, you know, it comes down to, you know, to use an ancient parable, you know, the ant and the grasshopper. You know, the ant is studious and you know does all those things, and come winter time when you know all of his hard work is finally paid off, you know, he's living comfortably and everything, and you know the grasshopper that was jumping around, give me free stuff, is suddenly out in the cold and going, oh, poor pitiful me, I am such a victim, help me. And
Yeah.
suckers will sit there and help these people out. And you know, they co-opt all the terms. You know, a grifter used to be the equivalent of a con man
Yeah.
or a confidence man, where they would lie and cheat and steal from you by making you think things that were not true.
Yeah.
And those used to be out, you know, crimes, jail time, fines, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But now they toss around the term grifter like it doesn't even hold any meaning. It's like the end the World War II people,
Right.
you know, that particular term, the hell heck with it. The Nazis,
Yeah.
they've thrown that term around to the point where it doesn't mean anything. And
Yeah.
you know, all the ists, all the phobes, and phobe is such a goofy thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe. I am not afraid of them. I don't even have the disgust, maybe pity, but I am not phobic. I am not irrationally afraid of them.
Yeah.
Phobias are like an irrational fear of spiders where you freak out, or clowns, or anything like that. I don't irrationally freak around trans people or any of the other things. I've got friends that are those things.
That's right
But
there.
I
That's
do
what I
have
want to talk about. Is the whole thing about calling the phobes and stuff like that is like the people that I have problems with aren't people who are gay. It's the people who say they're gay and then act like fucking terrible people, and they try to make again. I don't like that individual. I don't care if you're trans or gay. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like we don't.
What are you as a
I
person?
don't have a problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem with gay people. I have a problem with that asshole.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like the reason I have a problem with a lot of the what we call SJWs, again, I want to focus on specifically this, is the people who go out of their way saying they believe in these things and they do absolutely the opposite and they destroy people. Why would I not have a negative reaction to them? Why should Okay, so he's gay. Fuck you. I don't care you're gay. Fuck you for ruining somebody else's life or destroying something I love because of your, let's just call it what it is.
Insecurities. Yeah.
It's not just insecurities. For your entitlement. That's a word that's been thrown around a lot for fans and stuff like that, but these people are actually entitled. They really feel like they can just destroy something for no other reason than, and again, going back to this, it's for clout, like the She-Ra thing, or any of this other stuff, right? It has nothing to do with the product they're making. They're not selling She-Ra. They're selling their ideology.
Oh yeah.
And they want to, and if you're a fan of it, if they're a fan of the old stuff, they want to hurt you. They want to hurt you. That is not the same thing.
That reminds me of that. Oh God, what was the name? Starfire.
I am not Starfire.
Yeah.
Yes, I am not Starfire. That
self-insert.
was a fucking self-insert.
Yeah.
Fan fiction.
Yeah.
A poorly written self-insert fan fiction.
And the thing that was so crazy is, they're going off on this whole "I am not Starfire, I am not blah 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 blah." I hate this, I hate that, but who does she want? She wants the pretty girl, the pretty light-skinned girl, and everything is bad and horrible and mean and blah 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 blah. And I don't have any powers, blah 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 blah. Until all of a sudden, she gets powers, and they're strong powers. And it's like, the very things that you said you were against, you ended up getting for yourself.
Yeah.
So, the
without the work. Without the
work. It just all of a sudden, point. Oh, hey, I got this. Yeah, right. It works like that.
Yeah, it walks me into the whole thing. Like, Ashley mentioned earlier, and again, I want to point out, Spider-Man, up until probably the last 10, 15 years, used to be the most popular Superman. Was more popular than Batman or any of them. And you have to go back into why, because Spider-Man is different from almost every superhero in a lot of ways. There's more that are like him now. He's, but you go back to when Spider-Man first started, he was a shithead in his first couple of comics.
Oh, yeah.
He suffers for being a superhero. He literally suffers for it in his personal life.
Oh, yeah.
He's relatable. He's likable. He works on everything he has. And the biggest thing, the whole point of this thing that has been beaten to everyone's head, with great power comes great responsibility. He chooses to be a hero, even though it's going to hurt him. Even though there's probably going to be more heartache in his life, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because he can do it. That's the Superman argument. Superman's not Superman just because he has superpowers. It's because he can do something. He chooses to do it. This is the moral.
Do it.
Yep.
And that's that's the other thing. It's not power to benefit myself. It's sharing that power to benefit others.
Yeah.
Those used to be real virtues, not the artificial virtue signaling that they have now. Oh, look, I'm a good person because I do this. Yeah, we know better. You're doing this. You sit there and you take the picture of this, giving somebody an iPhone or giving somebody this or doing that, and then you sit there and you take it right away from them as soon as the cameras are off of you. You're an absolute crap person who's trying to, win fame and fortune without having to do anything. And
yeah,
yes, there's an audience for them. You're going to have in any given population, you are going to have a percentage, somewhere between 10 and 20% of people that are they're just shitty human beings. In a general thing. Now, yeah, that's fine. Those, a lot of times those shitty human beings, they just hang out together. But there are ones that sit there and they prey upon everybody else. And that's what's been happening right now. You have this tiny little portion, like worldwide Twitter is like the entirety of Twitter is like less than 10% of the population of the US.
Right.
But they wield unimaginable focus for some reason. People, look at this and, oh, well, all these people are doing this. They're like, okay, in elections, you have to get 50%. But you're listening to less than 10% of the population and letting them choose what you're supposed to do. And then they cater to these people, and then they wonder, why is my project tanking? Why am I not making sales? Why am I not getting the results
Right.
that I am expecting? It's because these people aren't buying your stuff in the first place.
Yeah.
These people, all
go
they
ahead.
want to do is sit there and swap lies and pat each other on the back and stroke each other's genitalia to make themselves feel good. And they don't do anything else. There is nothing of substance to it.
Yeah.
And without substance, you can virtue signal all you want.
Well,
Without that substance, without something actually backing it up, it's so much vaporware.
Well, I think I want to point out another thing that has happened, and this is something that I don't know where this mindset come from. They have this sense, this whole thing about power dynamics and power and stuff like that, and about the fame and everything like that. Is like, for me, if I was to create something, even if, say, this podcast itself takes off and we only get, let's say, 50,000 people listening, that's amazing. That again, that's not something you could do in the past really easily, right?
Oh yeah.
But the point is that I would rather stay true to myself in the thing. But to them, they think they can't be happy unless they are at the highest levels. That they are causing, again, they're only surrounded by yes people. This is one of the rule I keep telling people: do not hang around yes people who just try to stroke your ego all the time. Most of the time, when they're yes people, they themselves have an ulterior motive.
Oh yeah, they're the ones with the back that they're getting ready, or the knife that they're going to stick in your back so that they can take over. Oh, they got something I want, so as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to stick a knife in their back, and they're already doing that.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Oh my, who was it? Kyle or
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, that thing right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Stunning and Brave, and oh my God, twerking on the stage, talking about wet ass.
Oh, you're talking about so Nicki Minaj. I don't know if you heard about this.
No. What I'm saying is, at the Grammys or whatever it was, they're strutting around.
That was WAP.
WAP. Oh my God, they're so stunning and brave, and they can do no wrong. But oh my gosh, she relates something that she heard that was her own truth, whether it was true or not. It was her truth.
Yeah.
Now, could it have been coincidence? Yeah, maybe. This thing just happened to happen, after he got this thing. There are coincidences. I mean, I could sit there and show you graphs that compare, when ice cream sales go up, then this other thing here goes up, and it follows a similar path. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's a coincidence. They have absolutely nothing to do with each other, but it's coincidence. So
correlation does not equal causation. That's the saying.
And her big thing was, hey, this is what they said, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but make sure. And the message that I caught was, do your research and make sure that you're doing something for your purposes, not just to satisfy somebody else.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And for me, I was like, that's a perfectly legitimate message. The rest of it was BS, or at least questionable. But it's like, make your decision based on facts, research, et cetera, and that portion of it was fine.
Okay,
but
so the
all
Nicki
the
Minaj
crowd
thing.
that sat there, let me finish this last little bit.
Yeah.
That same crowd that was like, she was untouchable, she was top of the everything, that very same crowd has now turned on her so completely. And it's like, how easily they fall. Now, she wasn't an advocate for any of this stuff, but oh my gosh, make one mistake and boom, up onto the cross the crucifixions.
So going back to Nicki Minaj, the whole thing with her, she has fuck you money. You have to remember that she still has fuck you money. But her whole thing was, he's like, hey, make your own decisions. But my brother's friend in Trinidad, his ball swollen up after he took the thing. It could have been any number of things, but she's like, hey, But she said she's not getting the vaccine right now. She's at home with her baby. She's not going anywhere. She's not leaving or anything like that. She's not traveling. And she said she wasn't going to get the vaccine just to go to the Met Gala because she has her baby. She said no to the White House because she has her baby. That was it. And she said, do your doctors and stuff like that, make your own choices. He was just giving her part of it. It's like with us, me and Ashley ended up not with COVID. Didn't end up being all that bad for us. It sucked, but compared to other stories, it wasn't bad. But I'm not telling anyone. I'm just trying to explain, how those things.
COVID is a cardiorespiratory thing. So it affects both, the lungs and the heart. Well, one, I'm getting old. So heart things
it's bad for you.
are a danger.
Yeah.
And, I have various respiratory things. So, I don't just do a cloth mask. I do a full industrial mask.
Yeah.
Nothing's going in and nothing's coming out. And I've done fine. I've had to go up, I've had to do traveling. I've had to do, various other things. And
Right.
it's like, I understand the risks that I am facing. I don't expect everybody else to wear a mask per se, but I'm going to wear one.
Right.
And it's my choice to protect myself in the ways that I have protected myself.
Yeah.
If I choose to get vaccinated, that's my choice. If I choose to wear a mask full time whenever I'm around any larger group of people, that's my choice. And for somebody else to sit there and say, oh, you must have the passport for the COVID. You must have your papers so that you can go places. You literally are the nut.
Yeah, we actually have vaccinated people saying no to these mandates. Not just, like it really is just these certain people we call they're being called COVIDians who are freaking out about this thing.
Something else is, there's a reason why drugs take so long to get to the FDA and why they have to go through all these different things. Now, I am not saying anything. Yes, the drugs probably are, these vaccinations are effective for doing certain jobs. That's fine.
Yeah.
The thing is they pushed them out. COVID came out a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Well, a little over a year and a half ago. But the point is that they pushed this thing through in it's almost 1/10 the time.
Yeah.
That a normal drug goes through. And all I have to do, and this is something that's within our lifetime, there's a thing called thalidomide. You'll hear about something called thalidomide babies.
Yeah.
Thalidomide was a thing for pregnant women that made their, births easier. It took care of some of the cramps and some of the bloating and some other things.
Yeah.
They pushed that thing through in less than a year. Hey, they tested it out on this thing and everything was great. So they pushed, less than a year, all over the place. They were putting thalidomide until all of a sudden, mostly there were no consequences. The problem is that about 25% of the women who took thalidomide had babies that were born without limbs, without arms, without feet. They just had little flippers because they didn't test it thoroughly enough. And the thing is here you are, we're pushing this out. We're saying everybody has to take it. And it's not been thoroughly tested. And for that, it's a point of caution. I am by no means an anti-vaxxer.
Oh no.
Gosh, I've had so many vaccinations over the years for, military and for travel and all that stuff. I've probably had 100 vaccinations of different types. And,
I don't think
I'll
anybody
continue to have vaccinations. That is not the problem.
Yeah.
The thing that I have a problem with is, hey, we're going to do this thing. It'll do this, but we don't know what else it does.
With also with a technology that has been around, yes, like they're not doing the full technology. Also, they're doing something kind of like a flu shot, where it just of these proteins, right? But this is a technology we've never tested on humans. Then not only did they push out something a year, they done this, and this goes back. I want to take you down to another story that, like you heard what happened in Japan in the 80s, right? They made this blood coagulant, right? We ended up not using it, but they made this blood coagulant, and what ended up happening is that it ended up getting hepatitis C in it, right? Because it's made from other people's blood. Like they would collect these things, and it got hepatitis C, and they were still pushing it all the way until the 90s.
Yeah.
That they just made it. They didn't really test it, and when that came out that this was a thing, like that had already been used.
Oh yeah, it was all over the place.
Yeah,
And
like
there's so many other things where, and sometimes things, like
and used for pregnancies too. Like you were just talking about, it was used, for the bleeding and stuff like that because they weren't doing, it was to help with, with childbirth and stuff a lot of times.
right, yeah, to stop the bleeding afterwards, yeah.
Yep.
But there's dozens of things, and then they have other things like what was it called? Propoxetine? No, phenylpropanolamine. That's it. It's basically a painkiller.
Yeah.
And now this is something that's been around for decades. It's been effective and everything else. It's very well known. It's very well studied. Less than 1% of the population had problems with, I think it was the kidneys or the liver, one of the two. They had an issue with it. If they took this phenylpropanolamine, it would affect them. And there were tests that they knew that you could test this thing out and okay, you can't use this. What happened though was phenylpropanolamine had been out for so long that it was no longer profitable. And so they removed it. You can't find phenylpropanolamine anymore.
Right.
It was a very effective painkiller. I mean, it was better than Tylenol, but not as nasty as, the oxycodones and stuff like that they can get,
Right.
$2 and $3 a pill.
Yeah.
Phenylpropanolamine, you could get a whole bottle for, kind of like aspirin. You could get a whole bottle for like, say, $20.
Right.
And it was highly effective. But these people had a reaction, less than 0.5% of the population had a bad reaction to this. And so we're completely pulling it off the market. Meanwhile, they're pushing drugs that cost 20, 30 times as much as the phenylpropanolamine that affect upwards of 50% of the population, but that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah. I know
all of the money.
Yep, I don't want to get into the FDA stuff. Anyways, we actually have gone an hour and a half with the podcast, so I think we're gonna call it here.
Yeah, you guys were going and going and going and going.
Yep, it's okay. But no, this was fun.
We tried to keep it, connected to your original thing many times.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
No,
we didn't. We failed.
We touched upon it more than it could have. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll try again next week when we have more.
Oh yeah.
And we'll stick we'll stick a lot more to Strictly the Arts. The thing is there are so many links back and forth between so many of them, and there's so many issues that affect it in so many different ways that it's very hard to talk about a singular subject without bringing up the overarching extra stuff that's being tossed in on it.
Yeah. I think next time though is I kind of want to dive into the history of it all too, because like the art stuff is beyond Twitter and stuff like that, and just the political stuff. Like this has been kind of an issue for quite a while with the internet, and I've been involved in like, even though I'm not an artist, I've always been involved with artists and involved with people in this field, from actually high end people, and I've known them from all walks of life. I used to have a friend who was a giant anarchist. He's not a communist anymore, but he's still an anarchist.
Wait,
what?
But you don't realize that a lot of the anarchists, like, people are communists?
No,
which goes against their whole thing.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
took
no,
a
everyone
moment
points that
of
out.
a buffer symbol on my head.
Yeah, if you
Because
actually
you
look
said like, oh, he's not a communist anymore, but he's still an
at anarchy.
and that's where I was like, wait, but the this is killing my brain cells.
What? You know that
Okay, wait.
anarchists. What's that?
Anyone calling himself an anarchist something is an idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
here's the thing: anarchy, and this is where definitions become extremely important. Anarchist, by definition, means no governing body,
Yeah.
no rule. And the thing is it's just like many of the other words. Nazi used to be a very specific thing, but it's been bandied about like, oh, anarchist, oh, Nazi, oh, this, to the point where it's like, you keep using these words. I do not think you know what it means.
I do want to point out the communist or anarchist thing, though, has been around for like 30 years. This is a
Oh.
new thing. A lot of people are just
Oh,
realizing how fucking ridiculous it is now. They're only realizing it
yeah.
now. A lot of people in the punk scene in Europe were communist
Mhm.
anarchists.
Mhm.
Which makes no fucking sense because because a lot of these want political power.
Yeah.
But again, if you go right wing, like in America, an actual anarchist would actually be incredibly right wing because they like guns and taking care of themselves. It'd be a hillbilly, basically.
Yeah.
It would. It would just be a guy who get off my lawn.
Get
What's that?
off my lawn. Well, now they're also called libertarians too.
Fuck the Libertarian Party. I'm sorry. I have a thing with them.
Yeah.
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 Um.
Yeah, I've definitely become an orphan in that regard. I can't even identify with most every quote political party that's out there because they're not even rational.
They're not.
They say one thing out of one side of their mouth, and then they do the very same thing that they're against, or don't do the very thing that they say that they're for. At which point, I'm kind of like, you're talking a whole lot of stuff there, and nothing's matching up with what you're doing.
I talked about this a little bit. Like for me, I am definitely Constitution. I'm strong Constitution. I am more right wing for smaller government and all that fun stuff and everything like that. More personal responsibilities. But I also don't like giant fucking tech companies. I don't like as much as I'm a capitalist. I've gotten into arguments with my own family because what ends up happening is they take this is a company, it can do, it's a company, yet this company is given power over you. Like, again, a lot of my Republican family don't like these tech companies, but they'll always but it's like they hate the other side more. So now that these people are for the big companies, now they hate the big, you know what I mean? It's that dichotomy that doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
Can we just agree that big corporations and big government are both bad?
Well, anytime you get, it's like the whole committee thing. The larger the committee, the less gets actually accomplished.
Yeah.
Well, when these companies sit there and they gobble each other up to the point where, the media is controlled by, it's either 7 or 5 corporations now.
Yeah.
All the media is controlled by this. All of our foodstuffs and stuff are controlled by a handful of companies. And they're hidden all over the place. Oh, yeah. You have this choice. Yeah, look at Lever Brothers. Or Unilever, I should say.
Yeah.
Unilever has thousands of things under it. They go by different names, but they're all under Unilever.
Oh, yeah.
All under, Disney has got their hands in dozens and dozens of different things that you wouldn't even think are related to Disney at all.
Oh, yeah. I actually talked about this. So, I tried to explain to people monopoly laws, because everyone thinks a monopoly law is just again, yes, the original idea of monopoly is you have one company that has control over everything. the problem that we've run into is, like you just said, 5 companies own all these things, right? They're not actually competing with each other. They are, but they're not, if that makes sense. It's one of those weird things that they trade with each other, right? Or if they're, and that's not how we were designed to be. They are a monopoly. All these companies need to be broken up. You're not supposed to have a bunch of shell companies.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, that's why AT&T got broken up. It was originally Ma Bell for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then the only reason we have Mobile and T-Mobile and Sprint, and well, not Sprint anymore, but the only reason we had these other companies was because they forced Ma Bell to break up.
Yeah.
They kind of sort of forced Microsoft to divest some of its stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
then
actually,
everything
yeah.
went to heck, and now, Comcast owns half the, internet.
That
And,
goes. Yeah, I'm through one of the companies, Spectrum, and it goes down to the same thing. They trade with, like, oh, this company no longer wants to be here, so they sell out to another big company, right?
mhm.
Because they already know they have a monopoly of the area. And we call these natural monopolies, which is, I'm not going to get into all that. My point is, I am for. It would be better if we had better oversight on the situation, but nothing will be done. Nobody wants to actually pull the trigger. Fuck these billionaires.
Well,
Um,
complacency, entitlement, all these different things, they
yeah,
all play into society right now. I want stuff for nothing. I exist, therefore gimme.
right. You go back.
And
Yeah,
no, the reason, civilization moved forward due to competition for people trying to better themselves.
yeah,
Well, people are not trying to better themselves anymore. People are playing victim and stuff, and it shows. Everything is falling apart. You know, the Romans did bread and circuses. Well, we got bread and circuses right now. They call it
yep,
Twitter and the media.
yep.
There's our bread and circuses. Keep the population happy. Make them buy more stuff. You know, I'm kind
Yeah,
of like, yeah, consumerism is a fine thing, but I like to breathe. And if we pave everything over, there's not going to be anything left to breathe.
yeah. I guess the last part I want to put in before we put the thing is actually about the one thing I remember. This one thing my ex-wife told me was, I don't have to make any changes. All these people, and again, she was hanging out on Twitter and all these things. I don't have to change. I am perfect the way I am. And fuck you, even though I was doing nothing but trying to help her be better than just an angry mess of a person.
Um,
And that is
it-
what I hear more than, and that's why I say yes, people are bad. Why I say just pure positivity without
Caveats.
no, not caveats, pure positivity without solution. Part of positivity is trying to figure out why you're unhappy and negatives and stuff like that. Positivity comes from the hard work. I always say this: if you're bad at talking to people, go talk to people. Mastery comes from doing the action.
I know that was directed to me.
This is directed at anyone who has this problem, because so many people have antisocial issues. Do not be scared of some conflict. Don't be scared of having a difficult thing, because again, sometimes a fight is needed.
well, a good thing. The difference between cowardice and bravery. Both of them are afraid.
Yeah.
The coward will shrink away and hide and demand protection. The brave person is also scared to death, but they're going to do something about it or die trying. And that is where the difference is. We have so many people that are just plain out cowards. They can hide behind a keyboard. no consequence happens to them, and so they hide behind cowardice. They are not brave enough to actually, you know, uh, they're writing checks. They're writing how did they put it? Uh, God, now I forget the thing. But it was basically, kind of like an ass whooping. They're
Yeah,
writing checks that their ass can't cash.
yeah,
They talk a
yeah.
big show, but if it came down to actual confrontation, they cower in the corner screaming, "Oh!"
Right. Yeah. It's it's just one of the things, and like I said, you just need to find you need to find like another thing I tell people is like I think telling somebody just to be confident is bad advice. Confidence comes from overcoming the thing, right? You gain it as you do it. You will be
Yeah,
shot. I have a history of being shot down by women. But this is something I want to talk about specifically. Like this is something that really bothers me. I have a history of being shot down by women. When I stopped trying to just hook up, or if I did anything to try to better myself for someone else that wasn't for me, it never worked because I gained no confidence for myself. I didn't, again, when you don't like yourself or when you don't have the things, I think that's a big part of what creates incels today. You know,
yeah,
they have no, they aren't, and again, they go to these other places. And I do think that they're like, when it comes to women, yes, you could go, there is a lot of negatives, but like the pickup artists do teach general things to help gain that confidence. But the problem with those things is that's also innate because your only goal is to hook up with somebody. That's not what builds relationships. That's not how
yeah,
you
no,
learn to live with somebody. That's just hooking up with somebody. Well, if you want
yeah.
to, and again, that the women you're after aren't even necessarily the ones like are actually what you want or need.
Oh, yeah.
So
But
instead of
there's a whole
oh,
topic on its own in a way. So,
I'll save that. I'll put that in my back pocket for a month from now because I really I've been wanting. I need to get back to the men topic stuff that I was talking about before because I I very much care about this specific point.
yeah,
Coming from being a big fucking loser like myself, from coming on this up and that the fact that I have been successful with women to some degree. Terrible relationships, but for the most part, and then I'm in a really great one now. Not perfect.
well, the thing is perfection is something that you seek but never achieve.
Yep.
It's the journey. It's a goal that will likely never be reached, but the process of trying for reaching that goal is, the point of the journey in itself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and like I said, if you don't like yourself and stuff like that, or like one of the things that I think, again, telling people to be themselves. I absolutely tell people, hey, just be yourself. And if there are things that you don't like about yourself, then fix it. But let's figure out what that is. What are because yeah, this isn't about what other people see. This is the one rule that I stuck to, and we've had this discussion a lot. I do hear what other people have to say about me, so I can try to get an idea of how I change. But I never changed for anyone else, and for a
oh
long
no,
time I didn't pay attention to what other people were saying about me. I was just seeing results from the actions I was doing, so I knew something was changing. You know,
yep,
and
and
eventually
that
you.
is
Oh, good.
well, and that's what everybody needs to do. Everybody needs to approach it from that aspect of improve yourself, and you'll find that everything else will improve around. You won't even necessarily have to put the effort into some of these things.
Oh yeah.
The improvement of yourself will bring about the things that you're looking for.
Not only that,
And
if you're other relationships, I think this is another indicator that your relationships aren't going to be that great. How are your friendships? Like, look at everything that's going on. About the thing about improving yourself is it improves everything, not just this one specific thing because you're lonely. You're not just lonely because you don't have somebody. You're lonely because you don't have the friends or the things that are necessary. That's the thing that I learned, and that's actually how I learned to live with myself, even if I wasn't in a relationship.
Yep.
We all need somebody. I'm not, and let's not pretend that you don't need somebody. That's a bullshit thing too. We are designed to have relationships, friendships. We we want loved ones. Let's
Yeah,
not pretend
and,
that's not a real thing.
and we all face these things in different ways, you know.
Yeah.
Some people, you know, they go out with relationships. Other people don't need that particular thing as much. And
Yeah.
so those are the people that they do hobbies or they get other interests.
Yeah.
People that read books, people that do art, you know, make people that make music.
Yeah.
It's a passion. It's something that actually drives them forward that they want to do. And the love of doing what they want to do shines through. And that's where when you see somebody that, you know, they're just absolutely into what they're doing, you know, whether it's making music or art or anything else, when they really enjoy the things that they're doing and not the tearing somebody else down.
Yeah.
Even though there's people that are like that. But when people are into something and they're enjoying what they do, other people see it
Yeah.
and they say, hey, this person is enjoying what they're doing. Whether it's something that I want to do or not is immaterial. They're enjoying it. And I like being around people that are enjoying those.
Yeah.
We all want to be around people that are enjoying themselves because we tend to get a reflection of that joy within ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially when something is similar to things that we like.
Yeah. Last thing, and then I do have to end this because we're almost at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say, and I'm going to put this out every time I think near the end of my podcast because I really think. You know, it's find people who don't hang around people who are not don't get yes men, but also don't hang around people that tear you down all the time. Find people that uplift. Find people that'll tell you the truth of how they, and even if they disagree with you, they're still your friend. You know, that's wanting to see the best in you. That encourage, even if they're, and the thing is, you need to be this person first. Go to people and instead of being envious, wish them
And
the
tearing
best
them down.
success. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wish them the
Nope.
best success. Be happy for their successes.
Yep.
Because they remember that. Don't do platitudes. Don't do these things just because it makes somebody like again, if I tell somebody, hey, your dress is really nice, I mean it. I don't do platitudes. When I tell people to have a great day, it's not just something I say anymore. Being good and doing these things and doing that needs to have purpose for it to have meaning, because nothing has inherent meaning just because you do it. You
Yeah.
create that meaning, and they will know when you actually mean what you're saying.
Yep.
Yep.
So, probably why Ashley hasn't left me yet.
Yeah.
Love you. Anyways, all right. Well, this is so. Any last words? Make them short, like a sentence.
Nothing. Nah.
Nothing.
Nah.
Nothing. Okay. Ashley has nothing. Happy?
Be nice to your IT guy.
Unless he's an asshole. You'll always know the difference.
No, be nice to your IT guy, especially if he's an asshole. He's going to be a lot less of an asshole if you're.
That is not
nice to
true.
him.
That means you haven't known enough IT guys. That's not true. You haven't known enough IT guys. Teradek?
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for guys for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Say bye, Ashley.
Bye-bye.
Say bye, Ashley.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye, folks.
There's, say bye, Happy.
Goodbye.
All right. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, if you guys catch this and stuff like that, please share. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. We do this every Wednesday, unless life gets in the way. And thank you guys for coming. This is the Spoken Word with Raz. You guys have a great day.